Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran and this is Voice of the Global South. All right then, let's get started. On the show this week, a deep dive into how Trump swung the Gaza peace deal, why Bangkok wants to become the new casino capital of the world, and find out where India's 90-hour work week debate is headed. All that and much, much more coming up on Voice of the Global South. Take a good look at these photographs. These are the 33 men, women and children who were kidnapped from Israel and taken to Gaza by Hamas on 7th October 2023. Two of them, as you can see, are children. One is a toddler, just 2 years old. The other is 5 years old. The oldest is an 86-year-old man, a grandfather. And 10 of them are women. 3 of these 33 hostages would be free in less than 24 hours from now, after 471 days in captivity. Let me quickly tell you how we got here. Doha, Wednesday, 15th January. Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani makes an announcement the world has been waiting for. Israel and Hamas agree to swap 98 hostages for Palestinian prisoners as part of a deal to end the 15-month-old Gaza conflict. The US and its allies, including Egypt, that mediated the peace talks, waste no time in welcoming it. The world heaves a sigh of relief. How did it happen? What swung the deal? Here's the inside story.
After 8 months of non-stop negotiation.
Ever since that fateful morning of 7th October 2023, when Hamas fighters swooped down on unsuspecting revelers and rode into villages to carry out a mass massacre of Israeli men, women and children, the world has been transfixed by the spiral of violence that has upended the world as we know it. Hamas kills more than 1,200 Israelis. As retribution, Israel flattens Gaza to rubble. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have since perished, and millions have been displaced internally, including Israel. The Hamas has been dealt a fatal blow that it will find difficult to recover from. The Hezbollah in Lebanon is a pale shadow of its former self. Bashar al-Assad has fled Syria, and Iran has been weakened like never before. The Gaza deal was at least 8 months in the making, if not more. First, Netanyahu and then Biden proposed a ceasefire and hostage release deal in May 2024. But Netanyahu parried for time because he had unfinished business to attend to. He knew he had the opportunity of a lifetime to rearrange the pieces on the chessboard that is West Asia by eliminating Ismail Haniyeh in Iran, Yahya Sinwar in Gaza, Hassan Nasrallah in Lebanon, and putting Iran on notice. The ouster of Bashar al-Assad was the icing on the cake. It enabled Israel to occupy Mount Hermon on the Golan Heights. Trump's election win was the last piece of a jigsaw puzzle to fall into place. Trump had famously said he would stop the Ukraine-Russia conflict in 24 hours. The jury is still out on that one, but Trump is already claiming credit for pushing the warring sides in West Asia towards a much-needed peace. Trump posts a celebratory message on Truth Social even before Biden could officially announce a deal. Trump says this epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened as a result of a historic victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. He rounds it off by saying, "We have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all of the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House." Trump supporters say he has set the ball rolling on 7th January when he had this to say.
If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone.
At the time, most commentators took the warning to be directed at Hamas. But a former Trump advisor, Steve Bannon, says it wasn't a warning to Hamas. It was a warning to Netanyahu. A former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, concurs. But Trump had signaled his intent much earlier, on 22nd November to be precise. Less than 3 weeks after winning the election, Trump dispatches his West Asia envoy Steve Witkoff to Qatar. Witkoff meets Al Thani. He then flies to Israel and meets Netanyahu on the 23rd. A day later, on 24th November, Mossad chief David Barnier travels to meet Al Thani in Vienna. And from then on, things begin moving at lightning speed, quite literally. On 11th January, Witkoff again meets Netanyahu. He pushes the Israelis while Qatar leans on Hamas. The very next day, that's 12th January, the US, Qatar and Egypt put forward a final proposal. On 13th January, Israel and Hamas accepted. And by the 15th, voila, we have a deal. It is telling that Netanyahu chooses to speak to Trump before he calls Biden to thank them both. Israeli media cites Arab diplomats familiar with the talks as saying that a tense weekend meeting between Netanyahu and Witkoff led to a breakthrough. Witkoff does more to sway Netanyahu in a single sit-down than Biden could all year. During the meeting, Witkoff urges Netanyahu to accept key compromises necessary for an agreement. The Guardian newspaper published from London echoes a similar sentiment. It says, calling from Doha in Qatar last Friday evening after Shabbat had already begun, Witkoff announced he was coming to Israel and would meet Netanyahu, overruling the suggestion of Netanyahu's aides that they could meet once the Jewish day of rest was over. Witkoff, 67, a billionaire lawyer and real estate developer, insisted brusquely that they meet in the morning. In what some Israeli media describe as a quote-unquote tense meeting, Witkoff delivers his message. Trump wants a ceasefire for hostages deal. The Haaretz newspaper of Israel in turn quotes Israeli sources as saying that the involvement of the incoming US administration led by Trump's aggressive Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff revived hostage talks with Hamas. Not one to be outdone though, Biden says it's the exact framework of the deal he proposed back in May. But Biden's aides acknowledged that cooperation from Trump's team boosted the prospects for a deal. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller says the involvement of Trump's team has been critical in getting this deal over the line. The U.S. news website Axios reports that cooperation between two presidents who can't stand each other proves critical. It cites an Israeli official as saying that Witkoff injected quote-unquote Trump momentum into the talks. It was an X factor, says another Israeli official. A former Hamas health minister, Bassem Naim, tells Al Arabiya TV channel that the deal would not have happened without Trump. He says Trump's aides exerted the appropriate pressure on Netanyahu. Qatar's Prime Minister Al Thani praises Trump and Witkoff for helping achieve the deal. He says He saw the way Witkoff fought for a deal to happen. The last leg of the talks take place in Doha, with Hamas representatives on the first floor of a building and the Israelis on the second, with the Qatari and Egyptian mediators shuttling between them. Negotiations drag on till 3 a.m. local time each night, only to resume in the morning after a few hours of sleep. Thailand approves a draft bill to legalize casinos to boost tourism and economy. The Buddhist majority in the country has long resisted moves to legalize gambling, even as casinos have sprung up in neighboring countries. But as Jayant Das reports, all that could change if the government has its way.
Thailand, the land of smiles, a haven for tourists from around the world. Every year, this Southeast Asian country attracts crowds of visitors who revel on its beaches and bustling markets. From vibrant carnival-themed amusement parks and historic Buddhist temples and palaces to dazzling city lights and delicious cuisine, Thailand offers a spectrum of experiences for visitors. The government of Thailand wishes to add a wild card to boost its tourism sector: casinos. Thailand's cabinet has approved a draft legislation legalizing casinos. It wants to promote tourism and give a boost to its sluggish economy. Thailand's Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra hopes the bill would attract more investments into the country and solve issues of illegal gambling. The draft bill, known as the Entertainment Complex Bill, says casinos will be allowed to operate inside a complex housing other forms of businesses also. People below the age of 20 years won't be allowed access to a casino. While foreigners will have free access to the casinos, Thai nationals will have to pay around 500 Thai baht, which is about $148. So why is Thailand trying to legalize casinos and gambling now, especially after subsequent governments have tried and failed at it? Thailand is a popular tourist destination. In fact, tourism accounts for a significant portion of the second largest economy in Southeast Asia, around 20%. But the COVID-19 pandemic hit Thailand's tourism sector hard. Thailand broke its annual tourism record in 2019 with the arrival of 39 million international tourists, which was up from the 38 million last year. But 2022 saw only 11.81 million tourists, which was up from an even lower figure of just 400,000 in 2021. In terms of revenue, tourism accounted for more than 10% of Thailand's GDP in 2019. But in 2021, the revenue dipped by a significant amount to just 1%. In fact, Thailand took a swift U-turn on its decision to ask incoming tourists to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination in 2023. This was a dire step to help its tourism sector, which was reeling from losses caused by the pandemic. Thailand's then health minister said that checking evidence of vaccinations was inconvenient. Many believed that the outcome was because of protests from the country's tourism industry. The current Thai government that came to power in September 2024 has pledged to tackle economic woes. With tourism as a spearhead to bring the economy back on track, Prime Minister Shinawatra believes legislation of casinos and gambling is the answer. Furthermore, in tandem with the strong recovery in 2024, Thailand has set an ambitious target of welcoming 40 million international tourists in 2025. The country recorded 35.5 million arrivals last year, a 26% rise from 2023, as eased entry rules and targeted visa policies spurred growth. Some industry experts believe that casinos could be a game changer for Thailand's tourism sector and the overall economy. Legalizing the casinos will not only aid the economy by increasing tourist flow, but also create jobs and attract foreign investments. Furthermore, casinos check the problem of low tourists in the off-season, as casinos can provide round-the-year entertainment. The government has argued that an absence of legal casinos in Thailand means that the country is missing out on state revenue and a significant boost in tourism. A great example of countries benefiting from a legal casino operation include Thailand's neighbors Cambodia, Singapore, the Philippines, Laos, and Myanmar. Furthermore, Shinawat believes that this move will also solve the problem of illegal gambling. While only some gambling is permitted in Thailand, such as state-controlled horse races and an official lottery, the underground scene of gambling is quite active. Vast amounts of money change hands in betting on soccer and other underground sports and activities, which could instead contribute to state revenue under a legal model. Also, legalizing gambling could introduce law and order, thus curbing criminal activities. Gambling has a sizable economy at the global level. According to a report by German data platform Statista, the global market size of the casino and online gambling sector totaled $292.1 billion in 2023. Gambling is a legal business in many countries such as the US, the UK, Australia and Canada. These trends indicate a great untapped potential for Thailand's revenue through tourism. But challenges remain. While the ruling government is pushing for legalizing casinos, it must also be noted that previous governments have failed to achieve this feat. A Buddhist majority country, Thailand is home to about 95% of Buddhists according to the 2015 National Consensus. Gambling is looked down upon as an undesirable activity, as it is against the second of 5 precepts of Buddhism. The second precept forbids Buddhists from indulging in stealing or fraud. Furthermore, among Buddhists, gambling is seen as an immoral practice that reflects greed from materialistic things. So the plan for opening up casinos militates against the religious sensibilities in this Buddhist majority country. Another problem is rules and regulation. Legalizing gambling would open it for the public, which could lead to addiction, which in turn can cause further problems in a person's life. Bankruptcies and suicides because of a gambling addiction are prominent negative outcomes. Some countries, such as the UK, have met this challenge by restricting the maximum amount of money allowed to be placed on slots. Other countries, such as Australia, have put a cap on gambling advertisements. The government of Thailand says it is willing to address some of these concerns. With plans for increasing footfall of tourists as well as revenues through tourism, Shinawat hopes that casinos can make the difference. While the die has been cast, the question, will Lady Luck smile upon Thailand? Only time will tell. Jayan Das's report for DD India.
Tell me something. Do you work to live or do you live to work? No, seriously. Do you work to live or do you live to work? The question has split the world's largest democracy right down the middle. I'm talking about India, of course. It is the most contentious, divisive debate in India today. The concept of a workaholic culture has been gaining significant attention in recent times, especially in the Indian context. With the ever-increasing demands of the corporate world, employees are often faced with the dilemma of whether to prioritize their work or maintain a healthy work-life balance. Recently, S.N. Subramanian, the chairperson of Larsen & Toubro, made headlines by endorsing a 90-hour work week. 90 hours. Larsen & Toubro is an Indian multinational company with interests in construction, manufacturing, power, IT and financial services. It is headquartered in Mumbai. It was founded in 1938 by 2 engineers from Denmark.
I regret I'm not able to make you work on Sundays, to be honest. If I can make you work on Sundays, I'll be more happier. I work on Sundays also. What do you do sitting at home? How long can you stare at your wives? How long can the wife stare at your husband? Come on, get to the office and start working.
Subramanian's words have sparked outrage, laughter, derision, and everything in between.
Lota! Lota!
The debate is not about the opinion of one CEO. It's about the future of work itself. How much of our lives are we willing to give to our job? What's the optimum? How much is too much? During an internal meeting with his employees, Subramanian suggested that Indians should work on Sundays too. It doesn't take long for his remarks to go viral, drawing sharp criticism from all quarters. It breaks the internet. People go crazy. It spawns a meme fest. Some have a good laugh about it, while some others laugh at Subramanian.
You stare at your wife, how long can the wife stare at your husband?
Now, to be fair, it's not the first time India is having this debate. Infosys co-founder N.R. Narayana Murthy started this debate when he advocated a 70-hour work week.
Must say, this is my country. I want to work 70 hours a week.
He says young Indians working 70 hours a week will promote national growth. But Subramanian has gone a step ahead, rooting for a 90-hour work week with no weekends. How long can you stare at your wife on a Sunday, he wonders aloud. Women in particular find it sexist and misogynistic. Anand Mahindra, the chairperson of Mahindra & Mahindra, was quick to wade into the debate. My wife is wonderful. I love staring at her, he says. Mahindra thinks the debate is wrongly framed. It should be about quality, not the number of hours one puts in.
Huge respect for Mr. Narayan Murthy and others, so let me not get this wrong.
Of course.
But I have to say something. I think this debate is in the wrong direction, because this debate is about the quantity of work. My point is, we have to focus on the quality of work, not on the quantity of work. My wife is wonderful. I love staring at her. I spend more time.
Mahindra's remarks resonate with a lot of people. Akshat Kharbanda, a business school graduate, poses some hard-hitting questions to Subramanian on his LinkedIn account. If I work 90 hours, are you giving me 90-hour pay, promotions, equity, or just lip service on patriotism? How much of this work is truly value-adding and how much is just performative busyness? Now, performative busyness is the act of appearing busy or overworked to impress others or to signal dedication. Radhika Gupta, MD and CEO of Edelweiss Mutual Fund, posts the following message on X. She says, I worked 100-hour weeks early in my career. It wasn't sustainable. Over time, I realized that success isn't about hours worked. It's about the impact you create. In her post titled Choices, Hard Work and Happiness, Gupta shares her journey and the lessons she learned over the course of her career. But she's not alone. Actor Deepika Padukone calls a 90-hour work week quote-unquote shocking. Now, long working hours did contribute to China's rapid economic growth, but the country's glorified 996 culture, working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, is now frowned upon. After a spurt in the 2000s, China's productivity growth plateaued and then slowed down. Now, China is seen as a low productivity economy that pushes forward through sheer scale. And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.